About a week ago, I got an amazing question by email, so I wanted to respond to it in this pep talk. And I think it's a really, really basic question that I think I've had at different parts of my life. I've had the same question myself, and I just wanted to discuss the answers that I've personally come up with to this question that I think probably most of us have had. Okay, so a Jewish mom writes me, and she says, I have a question. I'm trying for years to really appreciate Jewish motherhood and to see the big thing it is to raise my kids, how it's the biggest thing I could possibly do. But I just don't get it. It seems to me that if instead of raising 10 kids, a woman gave birth to maybe only 2 kids to perform the mitzvah of Puruvu, and then went on to be a surgeon that saves lives or to create big organizations that help orphans or helps abused women, etc., and by the end of her life, she would have saved and turned around thousands of lives. It's so much bigger than having been a stay-at-home mom and raising 10 lives, her own children. So many people are in trouble, and there are so many things to be done for the Geulah to come. For example, she says, bring all the Jews to Israel. Bring all the non-religious Jews to Judaism. Help the hungry, the poor, etc. Things that also save and change lives. The world is full of things that seem so much more urgent and important than wasting 10 or 30 years of my life just staying at home and raising a few kids. In all that time, I could do so much more than just this. So why does everyone always say this, that it's the biggest thing I can do? Helping 10 versus 1,000 lives is bigger and better. Please help me understand, because I can't make sense of this whatsoever. Okay, so this is a question that I've definitely had at various points in my life. And so I wanted to just tell you a few thoughts on it, on what I'm thinking about, and I would really appreciate it also. I think this is such a big question, and I'd be really interested to hear in the comment section, how you Jewish moms respond to this, whether you identify with it, if you have some sort of response for the Jewish mom who wrote the question. But as for my own personal response, so the first thing I want to say, something very, very important that I learned from my teacher, Rabbi Ari Niven, and I know that the author of this letter is actually also a student of Ari Niven, so I'm not telling her something that she doesn't know. I'm just sort of pointing out something, just sort of reminding her of something. Is that Rabbi Niven talks about that every person has 2 kinds of yud, 2 kinds of mission in life, 2 kinds of purposes in life. So the first one is a personal yud, and the second one is a universal yud. So personal yud means something that every person in the world, it was created with a special mission in life. It's something that only this person does, and it just makes them on fire. Just sort of brings them alive. That they are doing something that they feel is of tremendous ultimate importance. For me, you might have already figured out my personal yud is JewishMom.com, inspiring Jewish moms. In fact, I have it written right here. Posting content on JewishMom.com that comes from my heart and gives nachat to Hashem. Posting content that makes Jewish moms feel happy, inspired, and proud to be Jewish moms. That is my yud. Okay, and it could be that another Jewish mom, that her yud is running a nonprofit organization that, as the author of this letter mentioned, helps abused women, or helps orphans, or becoming a doctor, or being a nurse, or being a social worker, or being a lawyer fighting for fighting for human rights, or running an orphanage. We have so many different examples of Jewish moms who are doing all sorts of incredible things. So in that way, I don't think it's mutually exclusive. I don't think it's mutually exclusive, having children, even having many children, and achieving your personal yud. So the second kind of yud is a universal yud, that every Jewish woman is sort of required to do certain things. Supposed to be a good servant of Hashem, praying and keeping mitzvot, and being a devoted wife, and being a devoted mother, and being a good member of the Jewish community. So I think that it's important to think about, always, Rabbi Niven explained. If a child of mine needs to go to the pediatrician, which is my universal yud, it takes precedence over working on my blog that day. That the universal yud takes precedence over your when there is a conflict, takes precedence over the your personal you'd. So I think, like, in terms of career, like, it might be that being a brain surgeon that doesn't really go hand in hand with being the kind of mother that, like, and spending the kind of time with your kids that most of us would like to be the best mother possible. But I think that there are some kinds of medicine, like some branches of medicine that are more conducive to, like, that do more go hand in hand with motherhood, so that it's possible to do both of them. I really do think it's possible to do all of these things. I think it's possible. Like, there's a woman who passed away who ran Ezer Mitzion, this huge organization helping poor people and helping sickly people, and she was a mother of a large family. And there's multiple examples of these people who managed to make a real impact on the world, and at the same time then raise a Jewish family, and also not everyone has to have 10 kids. I mean, who says we have to have 10 kids? I think that every mother and every husband and wife, together with their rabbi, can figure out what's best for their family, and maybe having 10 kids, let's say, isn't. I don't think it's appropriate or the best choice for everyone. And maybe for like, we know that for some people that is the best choice, and for some people it's not. Okay, so another thing something else I want to talk about. My second point regarding this question is that I years ago I saw a book, and I think I read a book. It was a book by a pediatrician, and it was his insights into motherhood and raising children. And it was sort of like, it was all these anecdotes about, like, this mother that he met and what she was going through, and this mother that he met and what she was going through, and the children, and how, like, they relate to the children and the situation in the house, and I sort of thought it was funny because I have a wonderful pediatrician, a real mensch. He's been my pediatrician for 16 years, and I couldn't recommend him more highly. But on the other hand, like, he doesn't know a thing about me. He doesn't know a thing about me, about my life. He knows my children's medical records. He knows that they're up to date in all their vaccinations. He knows maybe this one was born with a certain issue and blah 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 that then disappeared at the age of 3, if he remembers. He's been seeing my kids, maybe once every few months for the last 16 years. But he doesn't know anything about me. He doesn't have any sort of... So in terms of, like, a meaningful interaction with me and with my kids, and meaningful understanding and insight into our lives, it's true, like, it's been helpful. It's been helpful having a doctor. Like, I'm really grateful to have having a pediatrician. But the influence on my life and on the lives of my children has been really marginal. And also, like, in my life, I've been helped by various, organizations. I've been helped by various doctors or, professionals, or I don't know, like, I have been helped by people who, like, are on this list of, like, impressive people who are really helping and really making a big difference in the world. But I think that, like, as a mother, so I was just trying to think of, like, the impact of a mother and what a mother does, and why are we always saying, like, what a mother does is so important. It's so important. It's the most important thing. It's the most important thing. It's sort of like a mantra, but, like, what do we need? What do we mean? And I thought of this metaphor, and it might sound sort of depressing, but I think that for me it really works. And I find it very mechazek, this metaphor. That, like, so, like, let's say that there's a forest growing, and let's say that the soil in this forest is polluted, and or it's dried out, or it's there's poison in the soil, then nothing can flourish there. Like, all the trees there will die. They'll be stunted and mutated and won't be flourishing at all, right? But if a forest was growing in soil which is, good, fertile, moist, wet, good, healthy soil, then that forest can really grow to great heights, and can be like an amazing, flourishing, thriving forest. And I see, like, my role as a mother, that it's that, that my role as a mother is just to make sure that in this house that there's like a good soil, that I am the soil that my family is flourishing in, and so it means that basically that my family is growing up as Hashem to be like a healthy family and a strong family, and good kids, and connected to Judaism, connected to God, and thanks to this, it's the soil, it's the mother that this family / forest is growing in. And I'm not saying like there can be exceptions. Like there are children, there are children. There's trees that don't thrive even though the soil is amazing. I'm not saying it's not necessarily like 100%, but I feel like that is what I do. And anything else, like let's say like the people who run organizations and are brain surgeons and people like those like medical professionals and teachers and all these people, like they can help my family, and they can let's say within this metaphor, like they can like prune the tree, they can cut off a sick branch, they can provide some water, but I'm the soil. I am like the basis. Like without me, without the mother, like nothing is happening. Like this forest is not growing without me, and without you, and without all of us Jewish moms. So I want to bless all of us Jewish moms. I know, like, it's so easy to look around and to think, you go to, like, you see, this woman who's a doctor and a mother, and this woman's like a CEO and a mother, or this woman's a lawyer and a mother. Okay, and that's great. Like, I'm not saying like that. People can do that. People can do everything. But I think that this essential, it's just such a precious contribution. Like that, there's nothing more important that we can give to our children, and I think in that way that we can give to the human race, than just providing the soil for healthy human beings to grow. Okay, then I bless all of you Jewish moms with an amazing week.